YouTube. Our apology for neglecting you for months, but we're gonna try and make videos on a more regular basis together. My name is Charlie and this is Barbie, and today, since it's gonna be Halloween soon, we thought we would sit down and do some kind of, you know, like a spooky story. But instead of like ghost stories, I'm gonna tell you guys about the weirdest and scariest interactions that I've had as a service dog handler so far. So I'm just gonna get into it. The interaction that inspired me to make this video at all goes as follows. So recently I was at Target with Barbie and I was in my wheelchair, which is electric, and I was just sitting there looking at stuff with my husband when I basically come in contact with a lady who locks eyes with me and throws her hands out like this and goes, ah, and starts coming towards me like this. And I froze up there. Sometimes they're really good where I'm like, hey, like, no, like, I don't want that. But this time I did not. And I completely froze up because I've never had anybody reach for her before. So when that happened, I literally just smiled like this the entire time. And luckily my husband was there and he's like, hey, you know, she's working. And I don't really think the lady got it, but her husband's like, hey, no, was telling her that. And yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it. They never said sorry. She just came up and was trying to pick up my dog. I don't know. I think this is the universal symbol of give me. The next one, me and Barbie were at a thrift store together. We don't go very often, but this time we were just, I don't know, just doing thrift things. And a guy stops us and offers to pay $2,000 for her. And he was very serious about it. He felt very serious about it. And I'm like, no. And he goes, not even for $2,000, huh? And I'm like, no. I think about him a lot. And if it was a joke, it made me feel really weird because he like gestured and stopped me to ask about it. So I don't know. Another story, I was looking at t-shirts on a rack at Walmart, and this was also in my wheelchair. So I don't really know what it is about the wheelchair that has people thinking that it's okay to do things like this. But I was just sitting there looking at clothes at this, like, you know, where they stack t-shirts at a store, and a lady reaches over my wheelchair to pet her in my lap. Didn't know what to do here either. And it was so quick that I almost couldn't stop it. It was just like, oh, pet, 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 smile, hee, and then she left. What do you even do about that? I guess move on with your day. However, I didn't like it. You're literally putting your hand in my lap, in my like area. I don't care if I have a dog on it or not. It's really weird and uncomfortable. I've had a few interactions that almost mirror this interaction, but one time I had her outside of like a home goods store, and a lady saw me, hopped out of her car to come talk to me about my dog, and she goes, is that a doodle? And I say that she's not a doodle, that she's just a poodle. She's not like, you know, mixed with anything like I don't know, like golden retriever or anything. And this lady proceeds to go on like this entire rant about how she's not sure that my dog's a poodle because her doodle has curlier hair and all of this stuff. And so she just like goes on this whole rant about Barbie's hair and how it doesn't look poodly enough for her. Asks to pet her. I told her no. She said okay, and then she got in her car and left. So I think about her a lot too, you know. Another time, it's a really weird situation with her, is I took her into a McDonald's bathroom. And I totally understand that like dog fears are a thing. This is like a younger kid, but I walked in with her into the bathroom. She was fine. She was just walking next to me, and this little girl screamed, spun around, and went against the wall like this and continued screaming. And I just don't know if she was just really afraid or what, but she screamed and just let it out. And she was all alone inside of this McDonald's bathroom. And so I don't know, took her and I went to the bathroom. But I don't know. And that's not the first time I've had people like act afraid, even if we're just in the space. And I totally understand. Like, but it is sometimes off-putting. I've had people like completely like do like this whole thing, like leap out of the way for us. And I just don't need to do that either. Like, I mean, I guess if you're afraid of dogs, I mean, you know, I am not going to tell you not to do that. But yeah, sometimes it is off-putting when you're just existing in a space and people are like flinging themselves away from you. Again, I'm not saying I don't understand, but I am saying that it does stick out as memorable when I'm like leaving or thinking about a place. One time I was at Disney World with Barbie and we were leaving the bathroom stall. And so we have a couple of different commands that I use to keep her focused on me. I have like a couple of commands that I'll use to keep her focused on me, things like that. So one of them is EYES, and that's just the word I'll say, EYES on me kind of a thing. And one time I was telling her that out of the bathroom, and I must have been saying it within an earshot of other people because the lady goes, "Oh, I can see you." One time, this is probably like the one that's like hardest on me and her both in like a long time since this happened, but we were going to an OBGYN office appointment together, her and I, and without being asked the two questions, without any other like hello or anything like that, it was a nurse practitioner, saw me, walked up to me like this, no. And I was trying to, I knew what she was talking about, absolutely. Like I could tell that she was gesturing towards the dog. But I decided just to be like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean by that? And she goes, the dog, no. And it sounds like I'm like exaggerating, but she really was quite like that. And I said, well, excuse me, ma'am, no, actually my dog has rights under, Florida state law and Florida and, national law that she's allowed to be in here. And she just says to me, well, we'll see about that. And then she left, comes to the front desk finally to talk to me and starts asking me really weird questions like, is that a doodle? Again, that's like, I think the question that I'm asked like the most, is that a doodle? No, she's not a doodle. And I'm just like, so that just happened, I'm like explaining to the front desk lady. So then the original like nurse practitioner lady comes out. I don't know what she was, like a nurse. She was working under the doctor. But she comes out and says, no, they're lying. And she's literally yelling. There's other people in the front area too. And she continues to tell me that I'm a liar and that she didn't say anything like that. And I didn't know what to do. Honestly, I cried because at the time I really needed something done medically. And so I was hoping to just get it done and over with at this appointment. And she was yelling at me. She was telling me that I was lying. She was telling me that none of that was true. And so it got to the point my husband dropped me off. And so I called him and said like, hey, like this is what's going on. So I think I gotta leave. And he came and picked me up. They were also eventually trying to move me to another day because she was the only nurse I think that they had, and they couldn't make it work otherwise without having her in a room with me. And so they did at first try to move me to another day, but my husband came in and we asked what her name was because I intended to talk to somebody about this, and she at first like wasn't going to give it up and was being just really, really it escalated to a point that was just ridiculous. And none of it was really us doing it. It was us saying that we have a right to be here. And like it wasn't okay how she treated me at the door. And that escalated into a whole thing to where we just left. I didn't want another appointment. And I went to call them the next day. And I really don't know what's happened beyond this or like behind closed doors. But they said when I called them that they have been told not to speak to me unless it's essentially lawyer to lawyer at this point. And I don't have that kind of like pull or money. I don't have like a lawyer on retainer to go to talk to this OBGYN's office. So I can only assume that they knew that they did wrong. And they didn't want to make themselves look worse by continuing to speak to me or something. But I will say it was horribly violating. It hurt my feelings. I really struggled with my confidence and stuff to go out. And so I think like that's definitely like the worst interaction, but that's, I think, a totally different thing than all these other more silly things, like a lady being upset that I was telling her to look at me and she thought I was talking to her. Like this completely broke me and hurt me for a really long time. And there's definitely more like weird and bad interactions that I could talk about with my service dog. I think everybody who has a service dog can talk about just weird interactions. I think almost every single day I go out of the door, there's interactions that make me go, interesting. Oh, just before I wrap this entire video up, another time I was at Walmart, and it's always a Walmart, right? And she was just laying down really good. And a guy came by and he was going super fast on like I don't know, like the Walmart scooters. And he was just going, bark, 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 Donald Trump, bark, 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 and was barking at her. And was calling her Donald Trump or something. I don't really know. I really don't know what to make of it, but he was like, bark, 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 Donald Trump, at her. So, I don't know what to think about that either, or what to make about that. Again, you just draw people to you, whether for good or bad, when you have a dog. And if you're looking at getting a dog, just know that you're gonna see a side of people that you've never seen before. And sometimes it's kind of silly, and sometimes it's really uncomfortable. Yeah, there's more. Like I'm thinking of other stories right now that I could tell. And so yeah, this will be like a part 1. Maybe there'll be a part 2 of like scary and weird stories as a service dog handler. So I'm gonna wrap this video up, and hopefully, like I said, I'm gonna be on a better schedule on YouTube. I post every day on Instagram and TikTok and things like that, but I'm hoping to work harder on YouTube and things like that. I'm looking at getting like different cameras. I really want a GoPro, so look for that. I will see you guys later. All right, bye.